mi tamam insan mi ba kaenda zalga zalga kogi sakara.
There are no people without history. So once we say Hausa, where does Hausa come from? Who brought Hausa here? Who is this Bayajida? Who are these queens who rule Daura? Somebody to sit down in an office under an air condition and say, no, this history is not true. That's nonsense. Let them come up with something. Let them come to the field and ask people. We can't condemn our own until we get something better than it.
Traditional authorities and historians are at loggerheads over the formation of the Hausa dynasty.
If you go to Daura today, apart from the palace and that well, and probably the emir himself, who is not a true representation of the history that I am linking or communicating to you now about Bayajida, there is nothing to substantiate that.
Let them come up with their true version. You don't condemn something and you don't have something at hand. You can manage the thing that you have at hand.
The custodians of culture are resolute that it all began here in the ancient city of Daura. While historians believe the oral history has no substantial evidence to back it up, they claim the story exists only as a myth. We ask what then is the true story of the formation of the Hausa state. In Katsina State, northwestern Nigeria. These architectural designs and murals are reminiscent of the legendary Bayajida. The story of Bayajida and Daurama has been passed on from generation to generation, and the mystery around their existence is built on a fantastical story which some historians and researchers say lacks scientific justification. Yet it continues to fascinate the younger generation.
How Hausa kingdom started ruling, it started originally from Daura. Since before arrival of Bayajida, he met Daurama, and the Daurama is a queen at the then period. And she married him as a visitor, and they gave birth to a child. And also he married another woman.
In my opinion, it's believable. Because when you go to Daura, there is evidences, a lot of evidences that will convince you that he exists. Like Kusugu, like in the Emir Palace of Daura, his sword, and there is a lot of evidences.
There are different versions of the story of the formation of the Hausa state, but one that has been re-echoed in the minds of many is the oral traditional history of Bayajida and Magajia Daura Mashawata. The traditional authorities in the Daura Emirate Council say it all started with a man called Abdul Dar.
Wanda ya zo kafa masarautar Daura a 1500 BC a shekara 1500 kafin bayyana Annabi Isa alaihi salam ya zo kafa masarauta sunan shi Abdul Dar. Bayan ya rasu ya fara mulki baya da namiji sai diya mata, sauraka diyarsa Magajiya ta amshi sarauta ana ce da ita Magajiya Kufuru. So Magajiya Kufuru ta ci gaba da mulkin Daura har sai da aka samu Magajiya guda 9 bayanta, wato Magajiya Daurama. Wani Magajiya Daurama ita relocated capital na Daura daga tsohon birni zuwa present day Daura. Ita ce kuma wadda a lokacin da aka gano rijiyar Kusugu, kuma ita gina wannan palace, kuma sunanta ne aka ba wannan Daura ta yanzu. The only thing shine an cire ma, her name was Daurama, sai kuma Daura din mutane sun cire ma sai zama Daura.
Salisu Isa's Nakwares family have been custodians of the well for the past 100 years. He believed the well is a proof of the existence of Bayajida and Daurama. The well attracts tourists and students from different parts of the globe.
Ni mahaifina yayi sama da shekara 70 da wani abu a nan go. Ni kuma yanzu ina da shekara 30 a nan go. Ni na gaji mahaifina ne. In dai aka ce Daura sai an sako Kusugu. Kusugu kuma ita ce tushen Hausa. A mu ƙasa Hausa a Najeriya gabaki daya. Daga Afirka, daga ina ne babu inda ba a zuwa kallon wannan rijiya. Kuma muna da shaida wanda mutanen waje Turai suna zuwa nan gon. Za su zo su ɗebi ruwa su sha, wani ya yi guziri, bature ne zai yi guziri ya tafi da shi. Wani zai ce ba ni zan janyo mai ba, ni da nake kula da rijiyar, a shi zai janyo da kanshi ya zuba a roba ya ce zai kai wa iyalin shi.
The story of how the 7 Hausa states were formed started with Kusugu well. It was the only source of water then for the people of Daura, but inside the well was a snake which hindered the community access except once weekly. For its restriction, the community named it Sarki. This name will go on to become a traditional title for kings in northern Nigeria. The Kusugu well, according to oral traditional custodians, became a battleground between the mysterious snake and Abu Yazid, who later became Bayajida.
She, Abu Yazid, is a prince na Baghdad. That's present-day Iraq. Prince ne. Shi ma da aka yi sarauta bai samu ba. So she has to leave Baghdad. So ya crossing Red Sea, wato Bahar Maliya ya shigo cikin Sudan da shi da magoya bayansa saboda ba samu sarauta ba. That was the abin ga before. That was the case. If you lose, you have to leave the emirate. So sai ya taho ya zo Sudan, ya shigo har ya zo Borno, ya samu mai na Borno. Then it was mai of Borno, not like now, Shehu of Borno. Kuma resident headquarters din shi, it was birnin Gazargamu, ba Maiduguri, ba present day Maiduguri. So he met him there. Ya hada ya aure ɗayansa wanda ya taso mai ya tashi kashe shi har ya taho ya zo ya shigo cikin garuruwan nan na Jigawa har ya zo Gaya. From Gaya ya ratso ya taho ya zo Daura. Ya zo Daura in the night. It was a Thursday night. Shi kuma lokacin wannan maciji da ke cikin rijiyar Kusugu an ba shi suna Sarki. That was from the where from the word Sarki came. All over the northern Nigeria. He met an old woman. There's an old woman, her name was Ayana. So when he came to her and asked for water in the night, that was on a Thursday night. Say, we don't have water. It's only tomorrow in the morning we fetch water and take it for a week. What happened? Who said that? There's a Sarki inside. He said, Jari, give me the container. He came to the well, and when the snake come up, he killed it and fetch the water. He went to the old woman and gave her the water. She was surprised and shocked at the same time to see the water from Kusugu well.
The killing of the snake signified the end of water scarcity in the community. Magajiya Daurama was more than happy and pledged to reward whosoever had brought them liberation from the snake.
In the course of the battle between Abu Yazid and the Sarki, he has to lay one part of his shoes there. So, you know, it's the shoes from the Middle East. So who gets whose? Everybody will say, I kill him, I kill him, I kill him. Who killed him? And later, the old woman that called Ayana came and informed the queen that I have a stranger yesterday night and he gave me Kusugu water to drink. So what can you do? He said, go and call him. They went and come back with Abu Yazid. You kill him? He said, yes. Where are the shoes? He brought the other shoe. And there is a part of the snake head and a horn. You know a horn? That's Kaho. Is there. Say, okay, we kill him. Okay. I promise whoever killed this, I will divide my emirate into 2 and give him half to rule. This is the promise of the queen. And Bluntly, Abu Yazid refused that. Said no. I would rather marry you because I learned that you are not married.
According to the oral history, the queen gave in to Bayajida's demand for marriage and brought an end to the rule of queens in the Hausa dynasty. After years of marriage she could not conceive, she handed him a concubine to marry.
Here is also two traditions. Some were saying she willingly accepted him that let him marry a queen. She doesn't have anything to do with him matrimonially. So she agreed to marry him, a concubine. Some were saying no, it was after he married her. He also wanted to marry a concubine and agree such happened to happen. And it happened. In the process of matrimonial togetherness, Queen couldn't conceive, but the concubine conceived and gave birth to a son.
Ita ko concubine sai ta sa sunan yaron Karab da gari. In modern Hausa is that ya kama gari. Ko kuma in the English you say the anointed one. Maybe he will succeed his father, okay? So the queen kuma later on ta samu ciki ta haifa da sai ta sa ma danta bawo. What that means, bring the gari. Ka kawo garin da ka kama. But when Bawo got married, he gave birth to 6 children. Okay? Lokacin shi Bawo na sarauta tun queen tana sarauta akwai garuruwa da suka fara tashi haka areas, just like Dulbita Kushe here in Katsina, Santolo in Kano, Turunku in Zazzau, sai ake kawo kara saboda ba wani authority close to them, say queen. So if anything happened, they have to travel to Daura and complain. So it's far away. Just Turunku in Zaria. Turunku is very close to Kaduna. In those days, at least zaka 10 days kafin ka je Turunku. Not today wanda zaka je a mota some hours ka je. Saboda sai ake kawo kara wurin queen. A gani? To har Bawo ha mulki, wannan practice has been going on. So Bawo after training his children, saboda kasan Arab civilization ya riga namu na Hausa. So duk an koya musu komai sai aka yi da sai da cewa a dauke su a kai su wannan wuraren su yi mulki maimakon a yi ta kawo kara Daura. I hope you get me. So wannan shine starting shi. So among his children sai aka dauki guda 6, daya aka aje shi a Daura ya zama prince in waiting, ya zama crown prince wanda shine Gazaura. Kuma automatically he became the second emir of Daura after Bawo, his father. So the other one is Bagauda, who was taken to Santolo, later moved to Kano. Then the other child is Kumayeo, that was taken to Bitokushe, later on moved to Katsina. And the other child is Duma, who was taken to Birnin Alkalawa. Okay? Still emir of Gobra in Birnin Alkalawa. Saboda haka sai kuma Gungume, wanda aka shi Turunku in Zazzau Emirate, wanda later on suka dawo Zaria yanzu. I hope you get me. Sai kuma Autan Bawo zamana Kogo Rano an dauka an kai the last born din shi shine aka shi Rano is now in Kano State. So the other one is his elder brother, Bawo's elder brother, wanda ya haifa da matan the queen of Mai of Borno. Na ga ma ya aure da Mai of Borno. Sai ya haifi dan shi aka same Biram. So Biram has to move to Garun Gabas and later they moved to Hadejia. These are the 7 Hausa states. Okay? So wannan su ne 'ya'yan Bawo da suka yi ci gaba da sarauta a Hausa 7. An gane? Su kuma 'ya'yan Karab da gari su kuma sun ci gaba da sarauta a kanne 7 wanda da ake cewa banza 7. They are lesser because they have another tongue. Like Gwari have their own, but they use Hausa as a lingua franca. Okay? They use Hausa as a lingua franca. So saboda haka you call them the lesser Hausa 7. That if you translate it in Hausa, it means Banza Bakwai. Okay? It is only the present emir of Daura, the 60th emir, Alhaji Faruk Umar, has to make a correction in the history. He named them Kanne Bakwai or Enwa Bakwai. It's sweeter than Banza Bakwai.
So they are considered to be illegal. And up to today, there were some little jokes being cracked between the Hausa people of the Hausa states seven legal states, and the Hausa people from the seven, so to say, illegal states. There were some little, that has been, but the question one need to ask is, how could a foreigner, somebody that came from Baghdad, present-day Iraq now, came and be the originator of the seven, the Hausa, and this person doesn't even speak the language.
The oral traditional custodians have told this story for ages, and many are persuaded to believe in its existence. But historians and researchers are not convinced with the reality of the story. It needs to be subjected to scientific inquiry. We are traveling to meet a historian to help us understand why this legendary oral story is a myth and does not exist in the annals of history.
If you go to Daura today, apart from the palace and that well, and probably the emir himself, who is not a true representation of the history that I am linking or communicating to you now about Bayajida, there is nothing to substantiate that. Go to Egypt. When you're talking about civilization of the Egyptians, you see the pyramids, you see the hieroglyphics, the writings, you see everything, the mummifications of the pharaohs. Go to Nubia. From that area, most of the small pyramids are true representation of the Egyptian civilization, which has spanned for more than 3,000 years. Now, when you are talking about Daura, perhaps the only thing that I can link that tradition, the oral tradition of Bayajida, is a song that some women are singing in the palace. They're saying, Kimame, this and that. This is a reality, not Hausa. An investigator who is dedicating a research to that aspect had actually linked that wordings that they are uttering to the Coptic Egyptian language, which actually is dating or is trying to link Daura to the Egyptian civilization, because that language is extinct, is no longer in existence. It's just memorized and being told, which is also belying what the Bayajida legend is saying, because the Bayajida legend apparently is linking Daura to the Arabic civilization, not to the Coptic Egyptian civilization or to the Egyptian civilization, because the wordings is not Arabic, but what not Hausa too, and is linked to the Coptic Egyptian language.
These songs, according to the oral traditional custodians, originate from Hausa and was used to appease the snake whenever the villagers go out to fetch water. Through centuries, the song has been part of the traditions of Daura, rendered to the emir on special occasions.
Many things to consider that make the story a legend, that make it a mere fiction. For example, to say that someone come from the Arabian Peninsula in about 900 AD. He's king, he was a prince from Baghdad. Baghdad at that time, 900 AD, was under the Abbasid dynasty. And at that time, the story also had that he is the son of a king of the Baghdad called Abdullah. Well, the records are there in Baghdad. You can check there is no king in Baghdad that is called Abdullah around that time. I think the Abdullah they have rule in the 700 AD. The last Abdullah they have was rule Baghdad. Yeah, precisely in 700 AD. So that makes it a legend, not history.
Since historians and researchers cannot agree among themselves, proposing different theories on how the formation of Hausa state came to be in northern Nigeria, how far from the truth is the oral traditional history?
The origin of the Hausa was said to be from the Middle East. And based on the autochthonous theory by Abdullahi Mahdi Adamu, in his autochthonous theory, believed that we are from the Lake Chad Basin. And from when were they found in Lake Chad Basin? It's still a question of the historical investigation. Some were also of the view that it was originally when Okuba bin Nafi, the origin of the Fulanis, and this Okuba bin Nafi was one of the Prophet Muhammad disciples. After his demise, people saw no reason, those Sahabat saw no reason to sit in Mecca, either Mecca or Medina. They had to migrate, and they migrated across the globe. Some were able to reach the West Africa, some were able to reach Southeast Asia, others Middle East, others a lot of this. So part of the marriages he encountered were said to be those that were originally from him, because he married a black tribe. So though some of them were, did not even believe that he married a black tribe, but because of the sociological and anthropological transformation due to such nature of climate change, weather and what have you, it began to have changes in the skin color, changes in the way they live, changes in the way they intermingle with the other rest of the people. So that is another fact. But be it as it may, one cannot say single out that the origin of Hausa specifically and originally solely dependent on Bayajida.
Clearly, the theories revolving around the creation of Hausa state have different origins, leaving the public confused on what to believe. We paid one more visit to the Emirate Council in Daura, seeking a response to what the traditional authorities think of the historians' and researchers' perspective.
First of all, this is not a story. We don't call it story, we call it history. It is history in the sense that we come to learn of it from our grandparents, them from the generations, often generations. So I don't think we call it story, we call it history. But what I would say, the academicians, let them come up with their own true version. Let them come up with what happened. There are no people without history. So once we say Hausa, where does Hausa come from? Who brought Hausa here? Who is this Bayajida? Who are these queens who rule Daura? Who are those kings who rule the 7 Hausa states? I mean the true 7 Hausa states. Then who are the kings that rule? Who are the kings that rule the lesser 7 Hausa states? Let them come up with their true version, what they consider to be true. Then let them come with another version. You don't condemn something and you don't have something at hand. There's a proverb in Hausa that says, "Idan ba ka da shege ma da ne." You know, meaning that if you don't have something good at hand, then you can't condemn anything. You can manage the thing that you have at hand. Let them come up with their own true version. What happened? What happened? Bayajida came to Daura, killed the snake that is called Sarki at Kusugu well, and married the queen, bore a child that named Bao. This Bao, his sons founded the true 7 Hausa states. Then if they say it's no, then what happened? Who found Kazana? Who's Kumayo, the 4th king of Kazana? If you go to Kazana, they will tell you that the 4th king of Kazana is Kumayo. And that Kumayo is the son of Bao, the grandson of Bayajida, and the grandson to the Daurama, the queen. If you go to Kano, the 1st king of Kano, according to the king list, is Bagauda. Bagauda is believed to be the son of Bao. If you go to Zozo, the 1st king was Gungume. He's believed to be the son of Bao, the grandson of Bayajida, also the grandson of the queen, Daurama. If you go to Hadejia, the 4th king is Biram. Biram is believed to be the junior brother of Bao, is another son of Bayajida. If you go to Rano, the Kusugu, the smallest child, the last child of Bao, that they call him Autam Bao. We are all used to this. Our parents told us, their parents told them, their forefathers told them, generations upon generations. So if you don't believe in something, you just can't condemn it. You bring something, come up with something that is more relevant, more true to the other one. You just don't go and sit down in a university and condemn things. They came and took Bayajida's sword and knife away. They took it to Germany. According to the archaeologists, it was constructed about 2,500 years ago. Okay? The knife was constructed for over 1,000 years. And they go to Durbeta where Kumayo first settled in Katsina Emirate. They found things. There are many graves of the first queens, the first kings, of course, of the Durbawa family, which Bao is, Kumayo is among them. So what else do they need? So we just sit down, we are a people without history. Can that be possible? No, look, I was in Solalamido University at Kafana Hausa 3 years ago. We talked this over, especially with a professor, a Hausa professor. Then I told him, okay, if Daura history is nothing to carry home, then bring up your history. What is the origin of Hausa? Then he says Sokoto. Look at Sokoto that come after the jihad of Sheikh Osman Ampodo. Sokoto town, Sokoto city was built in 1809 by Sultan Muhammad Bello, the second sultan of the Sokoto Caliphate. That's only 214 years. So you mean to tell me Hausa has started existing in 1807? It's not like that. Let them come up with something substantial, something reasonable, something historical, so that we can keep our one aside and follow that one. But somebody to sit down in an office under an air condition, he said, no, this history is not true. That's nonsense. Let them come up with something. Let them come to the field and ask people. Huh? So this is where we stand. We can't condemn our own until we get something better than it. I hope you get me. So as far as we are concerned, this is the history. This is what we learned from our foreparents. Generations upon generations have been saying that if you go to a Hausa in Ilorin, he will tell you that Bayajida at Daura, Queen at Daura. If you go to Hausa at Hadija, if you anywhere, even in the Nigeria Republic, even in Ghana, you tell Hausa, he will tell you that you mean all these things are lying just because you went to a classroom and be taught for only 2 or 3 years or 4 years of history. No, I don't think it's true. We have to come back into our senses. Okay?
Regardless of what the society makes of the Kusugu well, the legend of Bayajida lives on in the hearts of many in Katsina. From the gates in Daura to the Emir's palace and the bridges, emblems of Bayajida's might grace the city architecture. Whether fiction or non-fiction, it is a challenge for historians and researchers to verify the authenticity of these oral traditional history and put to rest the debate over the existence of Bayajida and the impact he had created in the Hausa state.